Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to the video. This time is the amazing Yamaguchi Iron Man. So, let's get started. There is a lot to cover with this Iron Man. I may even miss some things because it's just so much to gradually cover. I'm gonna try to get in as much as I can talk about, as well as try to cover things that's not covered in the manual that you kind of have to figure out for yourself. Because Revoltech kind of leaves it up to your imagination with this one. And that's kind of one of the best things about this figure. It's the bleeding edge armor that one of the first time he's using Nanotech. It's the Stark Resilient stuff during the Matte Fraction run, as well as post the Initiative stuff, but during the Dark Reign. And let me tell you, there is, I can definitely see why the movie stuff was based off of this armor. It's really dope. Real quick though, we're gonna jump into the figure instead of talking about comics and get started. Now, honestly, I love the look of this figure. I really do. One of the drawbacks of it that I don't enjoy though is the removal of the click joints. Now, I absolutely love the click joints, and the reason why I love the click joints, this figure actually packs in a lot, and you can carry on the weight of it. And without those click joints, it won't be able to support the weight long term for certain things. Now, Kyoto has supplemented that with the way that they use the joint system for it, but it's really rough to complement it long term for those of you who are going to leave your stuff in a static pose for months and months and months at a time. So just be aware of that. Now, as far as articulation goes, this is one of those pieces where I gotta say it's crazy. So the head articulation can move up for flight poses very easily. It can look down, it can rotate, and Revoltech always has an ability to just give you that extra bit of articulation. It's gonna leave some little gaps here and there, but already just looking up, you can see that Iron Man has a spectacular pose for flight, flight pose. They still use the rotating shoulder joint, which it seems invisible at first, but the more you play with it, the more you see it. And as you can see here, even folding it back. So let's get into a real quick flight pose, right? Let's say Iron Man's flying at full speed. As you can see here, it looks really good, but you're gonna have to press in certain parts so that way you want it to look clean. But honestly though, just right out the box, he can grab a vanilla pose very well. He looks awesome in a flight pose. Posing with the arm is actually very easy. They have this new thing for the shoulder joints that, just like Deathstroke, they kind of just sit on these ball joints that kind of sit still, but they can go up and down. Gives you a little bit of extra range, and the arm can move in and move backwards and rotate like a bicep swivel. I kind of just plucked mine off, but it comes in and off very, very easily, and it still can hold the weight of certain things. The arm is single jointed, but it moves like a double joint, and you can rotate it all the way around. These are really things that Kyoto has taken steps forward that I'm just like, wow. But with the removal of the click joints, though, it makes it a little bit more difficult for me to hold those heavy weight poses, which is gonna prove to be a difficult task for me later. But I'm pretty sure I can pull something off. One of the things I'm not enjoying is the neck joint. It doesn't sit completely flush all the time. The more you play with it, the more it'll mess around with. But that's not something that's a major gripe at all with me. So just keep that in mind. The ab crunch is actually really nice. Goes really far forward. Goes extremely far back. It rotates side to side, and it's at both the waist and the mid-torso. So you can actually do all sorts of movement. Now, the leg is actually a little bit more tricky, but you do get a ton of range with that as well, as you can see here. Now, let's say you were, actually, let's do the 3-point pose. Everyone's kind of favorite Iron Man pose. Now, with the 3-point pose, you would have to find that really good sweet spot for your articulation. You rotate your arm down, and you can get the 3-point pose without too much of an issue. Let's see. Yep, voila. So you can get it, so you can rotate it down, and voila, 3-point pose. Now with this, I have to rotate some things around, but that's kind of the fun of the Kyoto joints. You can actually move around a ton of ways. One of the things that's going to be a bummer though is out of the package, you may get some sticky paint apps, which right here, I lost a little bit of paint, and maybe on the inner thigh. And that's from rubbing with the metallic red paint. It may cause a little rub, but that really don't bother me. Iron Man's supposed to have an armor that does that, unless you're constantly cleaning it. But it works out. It'll work itself out. For those of you that really want that. Now, posing him up, playing with him, as you can see here, Iron Man can get a lot of dynamic poses. And as you can see, it kind of moved on its own just now because without that click joint, it just won't hold a certain way. You can rotate here at the thigh. You can rotate back and forward. You can go pretty far out. And it's going to cut like a rotating joint, which seems funny, but the more you play with it, the more you'll get used to it. This is a single joint, but it goes really, really far back. As you can see, it tucks all the way to the back of the leg. And then you have an extra joint here that wiggles a little bit of room for you. And then you have your toe joint, which is immense, especially for Revoltech. And, I'm sorry, the ankle pivot. Then you have a toe joint as well. But as you can see here, you can still stand them up really good in a vanilla pose without too much of an issue. It just folds in very well. That's one of the things that we've constantly been getting since Deathstroke, I believe. Deathstroke, yes. But as you can see, I just got Iron Man back up in a vanilla pose in little to no time, and it looks good. But like again, you got to keep tucking this neck joint in. So just be aware of that, guys. Just if you want it to look clean, remember your neck joint. It's one of those things that's just going to bother me photo-wise if I don't do it. But holds up pretty well. Now, as far as accessories go, this is where Iron Man gets a little bananas. And I'm going to try to cover as much as I can. But the first thing I want to cover is he has these missile effect parts, which are crazy because Iron Man has portholes for all of them in certain parts of the body where you'll be able to do this. Now, let me actually move him up so we can see it. So you will have portholes here. If you want to just poke some missiles in, you can do that. You can have micro missiles. Now, I suggest you totally heat these up with a blow dryer beforehand. Otherwise, you will break the effect because they take a little bit to stab in there. And it's going to hurt because of these pointy parts here. Now, as you can see here, I can plug them in and I can have a micro missile shoot and actually hide it very well from the backhand side. Now, from here, though, you'll see the peg joint. You can also peg it in here at the arms, on both arms. You have ports here at the leg. And even if you really wanted to, there are ports here at the bottom of the feet that you can actually plug these rockets in at any point in time. There's also, for those of you who want to add multiple micro missiles or have multiple micro missile sets, you have these. And these extra port pieces will do it up to 4 at a time. So you can plug in 4 pieces. And then you have these extra plugs, which will plug in. So what I've done is I've pre-done one where I plug the port in. And let's say you're going to plug it into his back for micro missile sets. And it just plugs in and then voila. It holds very, very well. Now this is going to be what holds your missiles very well because these are actually very sturdy and very strong. So the more you use those, the more you're like, okay, I'm getting used to this. I kind of want to know what I'm doing here. But it's more than just that too, because you actually have other bonus parts. Like even if you do the micro missiles, you can still plug in the wing accessories, which you see here. You'll get 2. So it's nanotech. So you can actually do whatever you want, any type of configuration. And this is the kind of thing that I thought was really dope about this Iron Man with the bleeding edge. Because of the nanotech, you can kind of do whatever configuration you want. You don't have to get stuck there like imagining a certain set or not doing it a certain way. You can just do whatever you want. If you want to add these extra parts here, which are extra flaps for flying, you can do it whatever you want. You can plug it in wherever you want. You can plug it in as back thrusters. You can plug it in the leg for leg thrusters. Do whatever you want. These are the kind of things that I really enjoy about this. Then they give you extra nanotech parts. You will receive a total of 10 of these. And in these nanotech parts, you can kind of plug them into these if you want. You can plug them into the hand, the legs, anything you want to give Iron Man that extra oomph for nanotech design. And that's really cool. So what I've done is I've taken one, just as an example, I've taken the thruster parts and I've taken a nano thruster, and you can kind of just plug it in wherever you want. So let's say I wanted this to be one of the knuckles. There is an extra fist knuckle that has a hole in the plating. So let's say you wanted to just do this one as an extra knuckle thruster or a knuckle-like attack. I'm going to plug it in. You can rotate it back, and you can just make it a knuckle thruster. You can fold it out. You can turn it into a nanotech weapon. Anything you want. This is limited only by your imagination. So the things you do with this kind of stuff is really going to be up to you, and that's really the most fun and expecting part of all of this. And I think that's dope. You also, before I forget, you do get Nanotech Blades. You'll get 2 of these. One for each set of hands that slide on. So what you'll do is, just to show you very quickly, you remove a hand, you slide off the gauntlet for the wrist, which will be a little tricky at first because I'm having a little trouble even right now. And as you can see, it takes out that ball joint. That's also why they give you a ton of these. So what you do is you just replace it, pop it in this way, which again, I highly advise you heat up. Be careful when placing it in. It's going to take a little work. And as you can see there, it plugs in really just fine. I'm not going to plug it all the way in because I want to get back to reviewing the figure. I don't want to get caught up because you'll see those in pictures after. So I'm going to plug this back in because this actually is going to take a ton of work. Thank God I bought 2 of these because Lord, oh Lord, I'm going to leave one with certain parts in so I can have my fun without doing the extra posing every 20 minutes. So plugs back in. Let's find a hand. Plug that bad boy on. The ball joint's actually pretty strong. The more I play with it, the more I'm like, these are really, really strong, especially under the pressure of reviewing on video because I am always still nervous, even till this day. Till this day. Now, these booster effects are really dope because the booster effects, just like everything else, can kind of sort of plug in anywhere. So let's say you wanted boosters on the feet. Guess what? It plugs in. You want booster rockets on the leg. Guess what? Plugs in, right? Even on the hands, when you get extra hands, because I'm going to show you right now, you can use them as repulsor blasts. You can use them as thrust effects. So you want to use them as flight hands, and you'll get 6 of these as well. You want to use them as flight hands. Guess what? They're plugging in. So you have a ton of effects. So here you have the flight / repulsor hands. You get 2 of these. And then you get the open palm ones, which also have the plug-in effects. So if you want to plug in effects or you want to plug in nanotech parts, guess what? You can do that too. You can do just about anything with these. You also get, like I said, even more. So if you buy multiple Iron Men, they give you more nanotech parts right here. Oh, sorry, nanotech plugs is what I'm going to call them. And you get just all this stuff. And it's rough to try to show you a configuration without thinking of 12 new ones while doing it. So I just hope you guys would use imagination and go with the flow of this, because honestly, this is by far one of the most imaginative and most fun Iron Men, but they're gonna take a lot of work to put in that extra crazy pose that you want. So just kind of keep that stuff in mind. In the meantime, though, I will jump into comparisons right now. First off, I'm gonna compare Iron Man stuff that I have, which is the movie armors, Mezco's, comic book armors. So here he is next to his movie nanotech counterpart, which is the Mark 50. It's a darker red, obviously. And as you can see, he kind of has the height closer to Marvel Legends and Mezco than anything else. And here he is next to his other nanotech counterpart, which is the all new, all different bleeding edge. And as you can see, this one is more sleeker design, but it definitely takes from this original matte fraction run and kind of just sleeks it down into a different nanotech ability. But I'm really feeling the bleeding edge heroic age armor. Next up, we're going to compare it to the Mezco Mark III. And voila. As we can see here, like, we have a bunch of different various heights for Iron Man. Oop. That's the first time I've ever done that. So, here we are with these various armors. I'm going to stand them all back up. Wonder why you're falling all of a sudden. Weird. Oh, wait. Didn't have that feet plant. Silly me. Here we are with a bunch of various different Iron Man armors. And as you can see here, we have a bunch of different heights. But the Revoltech one actually stands a lot closer on the domestic side of stuff than anything else here. The SHF is still significantly smaller, while this one actually stands well with his domestic counterparts. Next up, I do want to compare him to the SHF Rhodey because I love Rhodey and Iron Man together. And I think these two actually will work pretty well together. The Mark IV is a little taller, but I kind of have him on display and I forgot to take him out. But as you can see here, these two actually work pretty well together. So if you do have War Machines from SHF, they do work well with this one. So you can take pictures with them together and I think they'll work out just fine. Next up, we're going to compare it to the Mafex Spider-Man, the comic book one. And the reason why I chose him is because these are both comic book costumes. So they'll work well with each other. I think height-wise, these two are going to work pretty well together, as Iron Man is supposed to be a guy in armor. So yeah. I'm going to compare it to another Mafex, which is Batman, and I chose a tactical suit because he was already out. And height-wise, this guy has some range with Iron Man, so keep that in mind. They're actually close, if not the same height. Next up, we're going to compare it to a comic book Wolverine. As you can see here, this, I think, matches very, very well, size-wise. Because Wolverine is 5'3". Here we are with a Hasbro Lightning Collection White Ranger. Stacks up pretty well. Not too big, not too small. Next up, I do want to compare him to a Mezco Batman, though. So here we are with the Sovereign Knight. And as you can see, these guys are actually very close in height with each other. Yeah, it's actually pretty good. Next up, have I done Legends? I don't think I've done Legends. Here he is next to a Legends Spider-Man. Also looks pretty good. A little bit taller, but still pretty good. Here he is with Articulated Icons Ninja. And I don't think the ninja is out of scale at all. It's a guy in armor, so it works out. The armor can also change his height because it's nanotech. That's really cool when you think about that. Here we are with a 1000 Toys Synthetic Human. And last but not least, we have a Mythic Legions Elf Ranger. Which I need to calm this cape down, Pete. Here we are. So yeah, I think Iron Man kind of fits in well with just about everybody. And that's kind of dope. So if you're looking forward to an Iron Man, it's going to be a lot of work, but it'll significantly pay off and it'll be different each and every time you play with it. This is the Iron Man for you. This is without a doubt an Iron Man that you will love and you should probably take the chance to try out. I think it's really dope. The more I look at it, the more I want to play with it and open up the other one right away. So in the meantime, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Hope you found it informative. But most of all, hope you do good, be good, drink your water, guys. Later.